hivi ndani ya nyumba.
You know you can help someone.
Help him.
Saidia. Useme mtu ati umjui ama sijui alitoka wapi ama sijui nini.
Okay.
If there is any way unaweza saidia mtu, msaidie.
Yeah.
In any way. Wewe umeishi huko for 20 years and mtu amekuja jana. Because I don't imagine how I'll find a Kenyan sleeping on the burn off. Hili ni hata kama huwezi mpeleka kwako una mahali pa kumweka. Look, try to sort. Mwambie watu wanaendanga mahali hapa, wanaenda Caritas, wanaenda sijui wapi, get yourself somewhere to sleep. Information, just be strong. Get yourself a supportive community. You don't need to have friends or whatever, but just get yourself where, because this country at times, Germany at times can be a very, and in Europe, I have friends all over Europe, and Europe can sometimes be very lonely. Unajambia, sisi wote tulikuja kutafuta do. Nani anakuambia sisi wote tulikuja kutafuta do?
Tunatoka sawa.
Kuna watu pia mtu akona, kila mtu alikuja na mambo zake. Kuna mtu alienda akaolewa Nairobi na mtu akaolewa na Mjerumani akaletwa hapa. Hajui zile struggles wengine wetu walipitia. Mtu maybe ndio hata upate hiyo visa. There are people who live here. And I'm sorry to say that. And they don't even know anything about their asylum system. People have spoken. If your intention is to stay in this country, kitu ya kwanza ground zero. Anza tuna language. Sasa tukienda mahali, stop asking everyone, do you speak English? Do you speak English? No. Ndio tu mahali mwambie hello guten Tag, ich habe eine Frage. Huyo mtu atasimama tu. Notice that. Do even a practical. Enda chukua hii kamera yako, enda pale Alexanderplatz. Wewe tu mtu mmoja mwambie, excuse me, I have a question. And then you'll notice the difference. But come here and show the gong. Utanotice huyo mtu amesema, hello, yeah.
Hello my people, it's your boy at MUJIBI'S world na tuko ndani ya Berlin, Germany. And the reason as to why we are doing this is to have a community of Kenyans who bring our ideas together in Germany and in Berlin just to empower Kenyans here in Berlin and in Europe. So with me today I have a very special guest. He's known by the name BK. Everybody knows him and he's a very great guy. He's a God-fearing man. He has a family. If you want somebody to talk to, is that one guy. I won't talk much. Mr. BK, yeah. Karibu sana kwa show ya MUJIBI'S world.
Thank you very much.
Watu wanakujua sana but wengine pia wakujui.
Yes.
So can you tell us about yourself and about Germany in general, because you've been here for so long. I think of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
More than,
yeah.
More than, yeah.
Yeah, and so many people like us, tumekuja juzi. I think the floor is yours.
Okay. So thank you very much, MUJIBI'S. First of all, even before introducing myself, I want to congratulate you for the good work that you're doing and your team. Keep it up.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I know it's not easy, but keep it up and congratulations. I also want to welcome our viewers, wherever they're watching us from. Either you're watching us from Berlin, where this recording is taking place, or anywhere else in the world. Karibu sana. So, straight things first. My name's Ben Njogu. Everyone calls me BK. But just like I mentioned, I also wear many hats. I am a dad. I am a husband to someone. And I'm a community leader. I'm an entrepreneur. And above all, I'm a child of God. So, born and brought up in Kenya. I was born and raised in a town called Naivasha. My Mr. and Mrs. Njogu, very strict but loving parents, both retired teachers now. In a family of 3, I'm the firstborn, followed by my 2 sisters. And I schooled in Kenya. I went to primary school there, I went to high school there, and I went to college there and got a few years of employment. I think I worked in Kenya just for 2 years after graduating. And after the post-election violence of 2007, 2008, a year later I thought of trying to venture, also look for other ways. And I had someone here who was living here, so I came to visit. And then we had the plans of also joining uni here. Unfortunately, it didn't go through. So I ended up finding myself in another university. Those who know it. So
what were you studying there?
Then, because in Kenya I did horticulture. So I wanted so I wanted to come and advance, and but unfortunately it didn't go through as I expected. Things were not as I thought. I thought it would just a simple come register, join a uni, and with those challenges that I also faced, they made me learn. Now I'm in a position where I can be able to to advise a person, even if
Somebody
I'm
else,
I'm not really perfect at it, but I can be able to guide someone who wants to come and study in the uni here. That is because of what I also experienced. Yeah, so that is part of my journey. Then I found myself in this country. Initially, just like most of us, you thought, oh, you come here, study, go back. But then here I am, talking about 16 years down the line. So you're saying 6 years, I'm 16 years down the line. So yeah, and as a country, first of all, there was a major shock, the culture shock. I was coming to visit a relative had promised me he'll show me how to join the university from here, which I came to realize is not doable as I thought. I like to be very honest with people, where people who are told things, you have a tourism visa, and with this a tourist visa, you think that you can come and you change it once you're here. This is something almost impossible. So you can't change just overnight your tourist visa to a student visa.
It is a process.
It's a process. It's quite a cumbersome process. It's still doable, but it's a process. It's not just a walk in the park. Most people are told, once you land, you put your foot in that country, which is a lie.
Now you're in Germany.
Yes.
What happened?
Now I started. So my of course I went through the process and I was trying now to find my ways and imekuwa ngumu sasa kuingia uni. So and then I'm contemplating, I've already wasted time. I'm like, should I go back to Kenya and continue with what I was doing? Because I was employed, I had actually taken my monthly leave.
Okay.
So
you are still working?
I was still working. So I was on my monthly leave when I was here. So somehow I found myself now overstaying. So, and overstaying now means crazy. I had only the other options. I have already exhausted them. The options of getting to uni, the option of integrating another way. So I had to integrate. To get into the country or to get into the system through the system of something that I really say to most people, it should be the last option. You could tunatanga asylum system. It's I went through it. Personally, I went through it and I know how it works. But it's one of the systems that I would recommend, let it be the last option. And things are even getting tougher as we move on.
Okay.
So yeah, we moved on. So and I continue now adapting to the system. But luckily we had people who would guide us. And I had a friend of mine who was like, I'll say he was my mentor back then. He's a guy who had come here to study. He came here early. He came here to study in first of all in Russia. He went and did his degree there, undergraduate, and then I think he moved on here and continued studying. So by the time I was moving here, he was already into career. So he was a good guy. He guided me through, and he encouraged me to start looking for ways of learning the German language and integrating as fast as I can.
You didn't know the language?
No, I couldn't speak the language. It was new. It was completely new. I didn't even have an idea where to start. I couldn't even introduce myself. So, and then through that way, I got some college here, but you had to pay for it.
Okay.
So private college. So I went there. I did my A1s. It was now learning the D, der, das.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So and then went on A2, B1s, and then along the way, I'm still moving on. I'm still fighting my ways. I'm still trying to see how I can get out from this asylum system into really getting into the system, into complete integration. So luckily, the system also allowed me to do some courses, and I went. I do Berufsgezogenes Sprachkurs, that is a career-oriented language course. So you're learning language course. Now I'm from B1. Now I'm also learning a career course. I'm learning language based on what I want to do now. Yeah, I was still young. I was still hoping that I still can.
It's like the job, yeah?
Yeah, the kind of job that you want to take up. Now you learn your language along that. So, and still at the same time, I'm also interacting with Kenyans. I had the courage. I really felt that I really wanted to also meet people, just like I told you, there was that culture shock.
Other Kenyans.
So I really wanted to also meet other Kenyans to know what they are doing. So through the mentorship of this friend of mine, we started now, he would introduce me to Kenyans and we would meet. But the thing is, back then, there was never proper structures where you would say, like right now, there are organizations where you'll say, okay, if you want to meet in this, there is a group of Kenyans calling themselves this, this, and you will find them. Back then, me when I was coming to this country, now I'm talking about now 2009, around that time.
It's a long time.
There was no such places where you'd approach. The only place you could get Kenyans at large, and that is the only place I used to have to interact with them. They were either a bar or a bar.
Churches, we didn't have
we didn't have Kenyan churches around back then. No Kenyan organizations, no Kenyans event. There was only one event. There was a musician who came around that time, and I remember that's the time I attended that concert, and I met a bigger group of Kenyans, but they're not so much as they are today.
These days we meet at Dosen'T.
Yeah, right now you felt there was the urge to have a structure, and because I needed us also to have something where we can be meeting for other things apart from. Yeah. So that friend of mine, who was by then, I would call him my mentor, with other people who were also like-minded, they formed an organization that then registered it, and I also joined, and they made me the Secretary General, which by then was very good. We started now planning for activities. We had our first event a year later after registration, and we had an event called Talent Show, Kenyan Talent Show. I can't really remember.
Talents.
Yeah, searching talents, and then we would tell people, come here. We created an event, we rented a hall, and we have drinks, we have a DJ, and people will come and showcase what they had.
Kenyan DJ.
Yeah, but I mean, back in then, we used to call that a DJ, but the person who was playing music by then, in the standards of today, you can't call him a DJ because it's just
professional.
Yeah, not really professional, but it was good. It was good. I mean, it was really nice back then. Yeah, that's about a year. That's about a year from the time I came. So that's when we were able to organize for that, and then we moved on, and then now people. But just like I'm telling you, by then we were still limited. There were not quite a lot of Kenyans, and also selling the idea was also not as easy as you would think. Yeah, so we kept on growing, and we kept on propagating the culture of the Kenyan people here in Germany. And until a point whereby we will do what we could. This organization, we were only limited. We were about 20 of us, so we couldn't do much. And we moved on. Some years later, so you continue moving on. We started now participating in different activities. I remember back then we now started being vocal, because I remember 2 years later after that, a friend of ours who were also in that organization got attacked, racially attacked, and being in the front line, I managed to mobilize people. Me and another lady friend of mine who was a German, who was also very vocal. So the two of us joined efforts, and we organized a very big demonstration against this racial attack that had happened. And by then, I'm talking now, it was big, because by the time we were organizing it was already on the headlines, the newspapers,
on the TV.
And everyone was speaking about it. So along the way, also people started noticing also what I do, and what we are also doing for the community.
This guy, was he fighting or what happened?
No, he was working, and then somehow he was attacked, and those very nasty words were said, I guess, in the place he used to work. So along the way, now people noticed, and then we were vocal, because now we needed to create a space for us as Kenyans, or even as Africans, because we really needed, we were the minority, and we were very few compared to the population of Germans.
Sometimes I walk here and I find myself like I'm the only black person. So I can imagine those days.
Yeah, so you needed to have a power. You needed to have a somewhere whereby you bring your power together and let your voice be heard. And that is the only way we could do it, because as an individual, there's very little you could achieve. Because if imagine that guy was just on his own, he didn't have people like us to help air his grievances. Your story ingekanyagiwa too, because there maybe there are even other cases that have happened as nakanyagiwa too, and then people don't even know something like that happened. So we moved on, and then fast things forward, I remember in around 2014, 2015, now around that time, now we have started having churches. There's a Kenyan church now. People are meeting, having
like
somewhere we can.
Church.
The first Kenyan church here in Berlin. Now,
who was the pastor?
Yeah, her name is. I really appreciate her. Her name is Pastor Rosemary Karanja.
Okay.
Yeah, so So she came here and first formed the first group with a few people here. And then by then, whatever, now they told me, because now I didn't join the church immediately, but they were telling me that they were meeting at someone's house. Some of them are still here, some of them went back, or some live in other cities. So they formed a small community of people now who worship, which is a very good step. You know, we have the other group now, we are also seeing ourselves as community leaders, and then now we have this group of churches. Now we again come together, we support each other. So, and then now the churches now start growing.
Let me ask, is it hard to form a church here in Germany? Because those days there were a few churches, but these days you can find like churches, not everywhere, but different churches. So then was it hard? Is it hard?
No, the thing is, the situation that was back then, forming a church, is the same situation that is here. It's current now. The only difference is that back then we didn't have the information. People didn't know what you needed to register
a church.
And we didn't have places where you could gather information. Information was so scanty. You know, right now everyone has access to the internet. You have access to all those things. The internet was not widely used, so getting
plus
information.
The language.
Yeah, plus now the language. So getting the information was
crazy.
Was crazy. So, but it's still the same. So people learned. Now that's why actually now even we started now seeing the growth of even organization. People are now seeing the importance of coming together. People are now seeing the importance. Oh, okay. Now if we get 10 of us, we get like a group where we'll be dancing or mulembe songs or doing something or eating together. Cultural events. Now people started now. Their eyes started becoming open, and that's how after that we even saw, because I was like telling you, we didn't have a church, and then we have now one church. After a year or two, we're already having 2 other churches, 3 other, 4, 5 churches,
different places.
Yeah, and then people now started opening up and appreciating the need of unity. I remember back then there was a very sad story of 2 guys who died in the same year, young guys in their early 20s, who drowned, and then after their drowning, we had to send the bodies back to home, to Kenya. And sending back the bodies was quite an expensive thing.
Like how much?
We were talking a budget of about 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, plus or minus. So because the other costs that will maybe be incurred in Kenya. But here, the budget, you go to the mortuary, they'll give you a budget of 10,000. From everything, because there is a process. There's a process of cleaning up the body. There is the conditions that are required before the body is sent home. There are conditions that they call the cleaning, the embalming, and all that. Those are expensive procedures. So, and the burden lay on us Kenyans. So then me and some friends of ours, we also sat down and thought, this is also the importance of also trying to get other people to come, register, so that in case anything happens, we know where you are, we have your contact. Yeah, we have to jijue tuko wapi, because now when something like that happens, Rajikuta is only the people who are meeting during those fundraising is the people that I all knew, and we knew tunajijua too. But we hear that even those guys who had died, we never knew where they were. Back wakati when we are being called, we are told there's a guy who died in somewhere in Brandenburg.
Yeah.
So then we said, now good, can we register all these people? Because not everybody was comfortable with registering at the embassy. It has been a very difficult procedure up to date. So we said, we can form an organization, call people to register. They write their names, they write their contacts, and in case anything happens, we know where we can reach them. And also, in case there is anything that happens, wakati mko wengi, you'll be able, those 10,000, you can be able to raise it very fast. So that's how the Kenyans United in Berlin and Brandenburg was formed. We called something that we used to call the Kenya Forum. We called it the Kenya Forum, and we formed our first meeting in May 21st. I think May 21st of 2016.
2016,
yeah, 2016. And the previous month we had hosted the former president, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. Here. We had hosted him here in Berlin, and luckily, people had things that they wanted the government to do,
to address
the things that people wanted the government to address, and we all had grievances. So and then people brought all their grievances together, and they were told, okay, good, these grievances we need one specific person to give their grievances to the president. So and those two were sitting in those committees. They voted for me to take the grievances to the president. So that was 1 month before we formed the Kenyans United Benin and Brandenburg. So then we met, and then so we were lucky. We hosted the president a very big meeting, and also during that meeting when we presented our grievances, we also informed the Kenyans about now what we were coming up together, informing one organization for all the Kenyans. So and then the following month we launched the Kenyans United Berlin and Brandenburg.
In the embassy?
No, we rented a hall somewhere here, and we invited people to come. And by that time, we registered about 600 members, or 600 or 700, or somewhere in between.
That's a good number.
Yeah, so they registered with us. And then, so we moved on, but as time moves on, although also other people, now you know, when there is a group of people, now all our ideas don't necessarily match. So there are people now who felt, no, I think we can do this way, we can do it in this way. So and then most people now started waking up, and they formed also different organizations.
Their own groups.
They started now forming their two groups here and there, which is very positive, something I really appreciate, because we cannot all fit in one basket. People have different ideas. And it was also a very positive thing for the Kenyan community now, because now we are already widening and we are advancing. People are now learning things, and people are doing things differently.
Do these people still come to you, these other organizations?
What do you mean if they come to me?
Like, do they come to ask for advice?
Yeah, there's still people who, actually when they were forming, most of them, there was organizations, they needed, some of them, or most of them, they still also came for me, to me, for some advices. Yeah, if anybody come, I even told you, I even went to other places. I even went as far as Essen, I went as far as Frankfurt.
Because I see you traveling. I see you traveling like everywhere. So the connection.
And then if there is anything, maybe I always used to say information is key. I'm learning from someone. I'm also giving someone information for free. And so if anybody approached me, I'm actually even up to date. If anyone approaches me, I'm very open to give the information what I have, because I cannot give what I don't have.
Yes, true.
So I'll only give you what I have. Seek information elsewhere, but it's always good to ask. Always good to seek information out there, because wengine wetu, if we could not be here if hata sisi hakuna watu walitushika mkono. There are people who also guided us to be here where we are today.
So what did Uhuru bring? Something new?
No, back then there was really nothing new that he brought, because I remember that time he had just come for a political meeting here. He had come to visit the president of Germany back then, or I think the chancellor. So after the meeting, he organized an evening now to meet the Kenyans, which was now we come, we exchange ideas, we tell him what we want, and then he tells us what is achievable. And then I remember that night we had a dinner, all of us together, and then the president flew back. But there was nothing major that happened. They
didn't when you take your grievances to the embassy.
Yeah, no, some of them worked, some of them didn't, because I remember back then we had the issues of IDs, of passports being issued here. People were struggling. We were not also allowed to vote. I remember like 10 grievances that we had. Some of them have now worked, but something like the issuance of passport, we had again to go back to the streets. We held a demonstration shortly before COVID, 2018, 2019. We had to demonstrate. It was all over the news in Kenya, because we had now to go to the streets to force those things now to be, because there's no way you can give birth to a Kenyan child here. And then you're required to go to Kenya and apply a passport. How will this even child travel to Kenya to go and apply a passport?
And
this kid is born here as a Kenyan, and then now you're telling us this kid needs to go to Kenya and apply for a passport. It doesn't make sense.
The Germans don't give you the passport for the child, because like the birth certificate.
You have the birth certificate, but how are you going to travel with the birth certificate?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, some of us, our kids are growing up and they reach the age of 18, and they need also to apply the Kenyan passport. And then unaanza kwambia mtoto arudi Kenya aende struggle from zero apply.
Hata ajui Kenya ni wapi.
Yeah. Here, hata sisi wengine, you are working, we work very hard here. Your passport has expired. You're told now your passport has expired, you need to go back to Kenya. You don't know how long it will take you in Kenya. You don't know if it's 3 weeks, it's 4 weeks. You need to continue working here.
Na serikali ndio hiyo.
Yeah, na serikali ndio hiyo. So those are some grievous affectations of the issues of ID. Now again, applying to a passport, you couldn't get a passport without an ID.
Yeah, you have to get an ID first.
Yeah, you need, so it's a bit we fought for them. Back then when we told the president promised they will happen. And slowly, step by step, some of these things are happening now. The last election, 2022, we voted. who voted
that's
from
nice.
here. That was the first diaspora elections that I ever had. We didn't have the opportunity to vote. Now we had the opportunity to vote.
How did you feel?
No, it was nice. I was also in the front line mobilizing. I was a mobilizer at the IEBC back then. So they had given me a job to mobilize, and we really tried our best. But it's not the best because the only voting station around this region was only Berlin. So we had people coming from France, from everywhere else. There was no other voting station.
The whole Germany?
Not even the whole Germany, the whole of this side of Europe.
The whole Europe?
The whole of Europe, the only voting station was Berlin.
Oh my goodness.
And the other voting station was in the UK. So it was also, I say it's a good step, but we are way, because we need at least when those elections come, let people vote from the stations where they are, from the town. You don't need to travel here to go to, because that time people traveled from Paris to come and vote in Berlin.
I can imagine.
Yeah, people travel all the way from Belgium. People travel all the way from Italy. They were coming all the way to vote here in Berlin, which I find it completely unfair because you need to use your own money, your own time. And this country, no time is money.
The voting was one day, or
it's a process of 1 day.
Just 1 day.
It's just a 1 day. Go back and those are things that now I think we also need to readdress them because at least I say, even if we can step by step, we say, okay, every country in Europe then to have at least 2 or 3 voting stations. Not only one voting station.
This change was brought by this group that you had formed.
Yeah, those are the changes that we as Kenyans now, back then we started advocating. Me being one of the people who were on the front line. Those are the issues now we started raising back then when Uhuru was the president. We brought them again also even when as late as the last year when the current president Ruto was here.
Mr. Ruto.
Yeah. So we tried to advocate for all of them. And along the way, I still believe we are still going to achieve. We're still going to achieve a lot. So we just like I was mentioning, now they started having mushrooming organizations. So then we realized along the way, some of the fellow leaders, myself and other leaders in other organizations, we realized now there is also, the information is not reaching out to us well. Because, say for example, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nairobi wants to pass information to Kenyans living in diaspora, something that is going to happen, something that is going to be of help to them. They come to Berlin, then they don't know who to approach because you'll be told, okay, Ben is there. BK will go and I'll be speaking just on behalf of my organization. And then I'll tend out maybe to leave the other organization. So we found it's good that...
Inakuwa ni bias.
Sasa inakuwa because now we are there. We have organizations with 200 people. We have an organization with 20 people. We have... They are all of them. They're like that is you don't know if they exist or they don't exist.
Some are not even registered.
Yeah, some are not even registered. So we thought it's very good. We form an umbrella organization. So, and that is where now we came up with the idea of Kenya Diaspora Alliance in Germany, where that is an umbrella organization. You register one big organization, then you request all the other small organizations, whether with 10 people, with 20 people, with 600 people, all of them mnakuja pamoja. So when the information comes from up, it's able to trickle. And then all these organizations, at least because they are all not doing the same thing. There zingine ni social organization, mnasajisaidia wakati mtu amekufa. Ingine ni cultural organization, mnaforming cultural event. Ingine ni church. A church is also an organization. Mko hapo, you're just preaching the word of God. You're doing that. We have dance groups. We have all those. So when you're there and there's something that is coming up and we know we need a dance group from Germany.
You take from there.
So from there, that's why it has the advantages. Now you say, oh, there is a dance group that registered under the umbrella organization. So then you forward
that was really helpful.
Yeah. So and that's what leaves all of us. We have a network pamoja. So Kenya Diaspora Alliance Germany now has been there for the last, I think the 3rd year now. And but it had a very successful event. The last visit of President Ruto, we were very vocal in planning the whole event, and it's something that we also still need to encourage people to register under umbrella organizations because
people can still register.
Yeah, if you have an organization, you're still free to welcome and register with the umbrella organization.
What do you need? Maybe
as long as you're doing something tangible, something that is good for the community. you are a leader somewhere. I mean, you can say, okay, good, this is what we do. You just need to give yourself this information, because you can be someone who is maybe into business of importing and exporting, and the people will say, okay, good, I'm not a big group. I don't have 20 people. I run this business myself and 2 other people, and we help you ship things. In Kenya, then you give us, okay, we are registered. This is not tunafanya tu vitu chini ya maji, or register things, so you come and say, this is where we are registered. Tunaitwa hivi na hivi. So and then we will also front the organization. Now will be able to front what you're doing to the other people. So when people want to inquire information, they know. If you want to ship things, we can go to MUJIBI'S.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So since you started this organization, like what are the benefits that you have seen? Maybe you say like, do people use it, or people don't use it?
It's actually on the foundation stage, because 3 years, I think that's when now, since 2022, I think 2022-23, but officially registered, I think last year, but one. There is easy access of information. Kenyans access information very easily. There is also, if any information on the other side, from us to them, and from them to here. So even if there is anything that is happening, maybe the government will just need to communicate with the umbrella organization. The umbrella organization passes information down. It trickles down. And the other thing is also diversified. People know in which branches they can, and people also learning. There is also a lot of information that is getting there. There are sessions. There are people, and maybe you'll also, if you have time, you can also be able to have talks with them. There are people who are also doing great things. I know people who are integrating students, who are helping people with this, what do you call them, the blue card. Yeah, there are so many things that are open. People are learning, because now there are so many doors that are open. So what you want to learn? People are getting this information, but before hatungeweza kupata that information. If today I want to, like I was telling, maybe say I want to bring a cousin of mine who finished Form 4, nataka kumleta ajasome hapa, I know who to approach now. Najua, I just need a call. Nimeona hapa kwa website, nimeona so they are dealing with that. Tick. Yeah. Call.
So now that I want this thing to be something that we'll be doing often, and we'll be talking often, I just want to, I want you to talk to somebody who is thinking of coming to Germany, or someone who is maybe even coming to Germany right now. What can you advise them?
My advice to you, the person who wants to come to Germany. Germany is a country of big opportunities. But before you make that decision, before you apply for that visa, before you get onto that plane, educate yourself, inform yourself. Do a research when you're still back there. Home. No, when you're still there, don't start coming to research when you're here. You might get into depression. Because crazy. Maybe your expectations might not be what you expect. Inform yourself. Reach out to as many people as possible. Know what you want to come and do. Yeah? Because kitambo people used to be told, ingia tu ndege mambo itajisoto.
Utajua uko mbele.
Utajulia huko.
Mimi kwanza nilisema tu ukiniweka hivi kwa
bora nipate tu visa. Mimi ni hivyo. Yeah.
But it's different.
It's quite different. When you land here, sasa ndio unachapa na culture shock. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people now here. Sasa watu sasa hata vichwa zinakaa ni kama zaruka, because what you are promised, you thought that you will land here and start earning your first million when you land here, and then unapata your 100 euro kupata ni ngumu.
It's crazy.
So I will tell someone, inform yourself. Uliza as many questions as possible when you're there. Kama sasa is an umbrella organization, we'll see our contacts. You'll put them down there so that then they can also be able to
educate themselves.
If you're coming through agents, there are proper government structures that are there where you can go and look for the list of genuine agents. Because of course it's allowed. There are agents who are allowed to bring to bring people to move to other people, because right now a country like Germany needs workers like this. They need you've seen what is happening. There is a shortage of workers. But before you go to an agent, just go to any River Road thing. They are genuine. I'll need to look for that website, and I'll give it to you. Then you can also link there. Serikali, where you go and click, and then you see a list of all registered agents that are registered to move people from Kenya to any other country in the world. So get yourself that. Get yourself the right documents that you need.
What are the right documents?
The right documents, it depends on what you're coming to do. If you're coming to uni, then you need your papers in order. Yeah, because one thing, people come for different reasons. I mean, I always use that opportunity even when I'm sitting with Kenyans. I tell them, we are all 100 of us seated here, but out of these 100, not everyone came to do what you came to do.
Kila mtu
amekuja kivyake.
Yeah.
So that is also we avoid that head mentality. Unajua people, kuna watu, a term that is commonly used or misused by people. So, sisi wote tulikuja kutafuta do. Who tells you that?
Tafuta ganji.
Who tells you that? Kuna mtu kwao pesa iko. It's not an issue. Pesa sio hiyo ilimtoa kwao. Aliletoa hapa na mambo zingine. So wewe unajambia sisi wote tulikuja kutafuta do. Nani anakuambia sisi wote tulikuja kutafuta do?
Kuna watu wako sawa.
Kuna watu pia kila mtu alikuja na mambo zake. Kuna mtu alienda akaolewa Nairobi na mtu akaolewa na Mjerumani akaletwa hapa. Hajui zile struggles wengine wetu walipitia. Mtu maybe ndio hata upate hiyo visa. There are people who live here. And I'm sorry to say that. And they don't even know anything about their asylum system. People I've spoken with, people who've been here for 25 years. What is that?
What is asylum?
What's asylum? Hajaisikia kitu kaa hiyo, hajui. They see it on the news. Aliolewa akakuja akaekwa hapa, got a good car, good house, akapata watoto, akaingia shule. They completely have no idea what moves on. Kuna mtu mwingine alistruggle, kuna mtu labda alipitia, I'm sorry, because watu pia wanakapitia. Mtu aliuza shamba. Akuje. So all these people ufikiriwa they're not the same. So mimi nakwambia wewe ukitoka Nairobi leo, you're the one who knows ni nini inakuleta juu. Inakuleta Germany ama any other country that you want to move in. And then once you land, now get yourself.
There's somebody I want to talk to. Okay, people who are going to this asylum process.
To somebody who has overstayed his visa.
Yeah, something like that.
Get information as much. And I always say information is key. There are organizations there who will also give you information. Make sure that you associate yourself. And then let me be very honest. Germans are very welcoming people. That's something I can say. Leave alone all the other shenanigans that are being said there. Germans are very welcoming. But they're only welcoming if you show them that you have the interest of being in this country. And how do you show them that you have interest? By learning the language, learning their culture. Start doing what they need you to do. Don't acha kujifanya hapa ati wewe ni kichwa. Hata wewe kwenyu huwezi taka mtu akuja na nataka kuishi na mambo zake. Just come there, integrate, learn the things. These are very welcoming people.
When you go to Rome,
do whatever the Romans do. So that person who is preparing to do there, wewe if your intention is to stay in this country, kitu ya kwanza ground zero. Anza tuna language. Sasa tukienda mahali, stop asking everyone, do you speak English? Do you speak English? No. Ndio tu mahali mwambie hello guten Tag, ich habe eine Frage. Mtu atasimama tu. Notice that. Do even a practical. Enda chukua hii kamera yako, enda pale Alexanderplatz. Wewe tu mtu mmoja mwambie, excuse me, I have a question. And then you'll notice the difference. But come here and show the gong. Utanotice mtu amesema, hello, was kann ich for this? Unaona mtu ametake interest kidogo kwa sababu ameona ayu mtu ako anajua what is saying.
It's true.
Anzia hapo. Then know what is needed. Anza kujua saizi kuna hizo sasa doors wanafungua. Saizi wanafungua milango at if you work for such and such a period, you are eligible to having your stay here. Know what is needed. Get all that information in line. Get that information in line. And then always car on toes. Avoid criminal activities. Mimi nasema because once umekuja hapa yuko Azul alafu umejiingiza kwa criminal activities, umeshikwa ukiiba supama, umeshikwa mkipigana, umeshikwa huko ukiwa mlevi kwa mabaa na mavisu.
Drinking. Huko kwanza
it's crazy. The next ndege unaenda nayo. It's very tough. Unaenda na the next ndege. So kuna vitu unajaribu kukaa tu acha watu waone wewe ni fala.
But unajiprotect.
Yeah.
So as we wind up, what can you tell people who are always like wanasema Wajerumani hawataki watu Wajerumani wana like they are mambo ya racism. So I've heard so many people saying like that, but wewe umeka huko for all those years, like what can you say about them? Kidogo tu like
they just mentioned the people. Kidogo.
But ile inaitwaje? Misconception.
Just like in my country Kenya, there are good and bad people. Hiyo hawezi avoid, it's there. The same thing happens also in this country. Kuna watu wazuri na kuna watu wabaya. There are people who have still that extremism, which is a very small percentage. If you saw the last election, there are parties that were supporting or the right extremists, and if you look at the map, they only have a small region of the country voted for them. The rest of the bigger country voted for the other way around. So they are there. Lakini my experience, my experience for those years I've been here, 15 plus years, it has been positive. Me, I've encountered wale ambao nimeencounter wabaya, they are very much fewer than wale nimeencounter wengi. And just like I told you, just show them the interest that you want to be in this country, because you know the reason that brought you here. You didn't go to any other country. You chose this. Out of all the other countries in the world, you chose Germany. So then if it's you who chose to be here, then show us the reason, show them why you want to be here. Just show them the interest. I want to learn your culture, I want to learn your language, I want to do things your way, I want just change. Unachanging tu kitu kidogo hapa. Unajua Mjerumani ni mtu wa time. Utaenda jamani tunamaliza saa 9. And then saa 9 ndio unafaa kuwa unaingia job, alafu unaingia saa 9 dakika 5. And then it becomes a routine. Mtu anakuangalia na but if you start now doing your things, sababu you only need to show them that you are interested to be here. Now I tell you, a biggest percentage of the people me have interacted with them, they are good people. People who have also, I told you when I was forming, we were organizing that demonstration for that guy who had been attacked. The person who held us our hands is a German.
It's a German.
She didn't leave us to go. Like she was telling me, Ben, you need to go to this office. Ben, tomorrow we have an interview with this Gazette. Sure.
So even me, I have that experience. They are not all bad. They are good people. And they are bad people.
Exactly.
And that's nature of
that
human being.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, because of time. This is just a conversation that we are starting, and we'll be with BK. Sometimes he will be coming to talk to us. So if you have any questions, just write them down there. And I'm sure he will be so glad to answer them. So BK, you can tell people maybe kitu ya mwisho. Yeah.
I'm so much honored to also to be in this platform. I also want to encourage people to also create platforms where we can be passing information, receiving information, learning and relearning, because there are some things that we were taught back then, they're not working today. So be in a position where you are flexible. You're there to learn new things. And also, as we move on, I know the world right now is so the political atmosphere. Back in Kenya, back crazy. Here, it's crazy. But I also encourage people, just be strong. Get yourself a supportive community. You don't need to have friends or whatever, but just get yourself where, because this country at times, Germany at times can be and in Europe, I have friends all over Europe. And Europe can sometimes be very lonely.
Yes,
and very frustrating.
It's very, very lonely.
There's no that setup kama ya nyumbani. It's very easy kukaa the whole day. Sometimes I see my friends here on social media saying that, hey, imagine simu yako ikikaa kama one day jali. It's very normal to have your phone not ring for a whole day.
Yeah.
It's quite normal here. Hata ukae the whole day ujaongea na mtu.
It's true.
So mimi also encourage so that because of even our mental health and even our state, and hizi tumetoka mahali where we grew up in a social culture. Let us also embrace this social culture. Let's learn the spirit of unity. Let kushikania, get yourself time, check on each other.
Pigia tu mwenzako.
Yeah, pigia tu mtu, because I always insist, Kenyans hata tukiona sasa tuko wengi, because right now it's very common mimi kukutana na Mkenya kwa train, hata maybe hata tusiongeleshane because hata amepita na mimi ni Kenya lakini hatujaongeleshana.
It's true. It happens all the time.
It happens because saizi tumekuwa wengi. But still remember, hata tukiwa wengi.
Why is that?
Remember that I told you this country, if you remember MUJIBI that time I was telling you this. This country, Germany has about 90 million people. And Kenyans, sijui kama tumefika 200,000. So you can even calculate that in percentage gani. You're about 0.01% of the whole population here. So bado sisi tuko wengi vile ati tunaweza jiweza. Not like our colleagues here, the Turks or the Arabs, or at least for the foreigners, the Turkish are a lot of them here. So these Kenyans, but we are still growing. The Africans, but we are still. So we also need to see how our culture, but at the same time, let's also build that spirit of unity. Tushikanie tu pamoja, and also let us seek information. And now, kitu ingine ya mwisho, if there is any way you can help someone.
Help him.
Saidia. Useme mtu ati umjui ama sijui alitoka wapi ama sijui nini.
Okay.
If there is any way unaweza saidia mtu, msaidie.
Yeah.
In any way. wewe umeishi huko for 20 years and mtu amekuja jana. Because I don't imagine how I'll find a Kenyan sleeping on the burn off. Hili ni hata kama huwezi mpeleka kwako una mahali pa kumweka, look, try to sort. Mwambie watu wanaendanga mahali hapa, wanaenda Caritas, wanaenda sijui wapi, get yourself somewhere to sleep. Information, unaweza kuwa hata hauna, uko na chakula, uko na everything else, but you're lacking the information, and I have the information. Why would I be a unaitwa gatekeepers? Why would I deny you to have that information?
Deny something, unajua mtu really.
Unajua if you go to that place Mjibi utasaidika. Why would I deny that information? It's there. Wacha watu wache kukua, because we have a lot of gatekeeping in this country. I realize that. You know, nikienda kwa hii hapa hii organization hizo nisaidia. Na najua kabisa ukienda hapo utasaidika, lakini nakaa tu na information na nyama zetu na sikuambii nitakufa nayo itanisaidia na nini.
Like people say, hii makara nilipata na uchungu. Sasa pia acha wengine
wengine safi. What for? What for? Hiyo karatasi see, I mean, and something I always like to remind people, especially people who went through that system ya kupitia through asylum and all that, and then you had ulikupitia ile njia kutafuta karo. Karo usikai fikira ni bidii yako. Ni God.
It's God, yeah.
It's God. There are people who stayed here for 10 years, they never got their papers. Kuna mtu alikuja akapata pepa yake na 1 year. Sasa tu alikuwa mjanja sana kuliko huyu mwingine.
God's time.
God pia. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's my shorting watu saidiane, tushikanie pamoja. Unity is strength.
It has been a very, very, very powerful conversation. And if you have something to talk about, you can also invite me. You can write on my Gmail account, davidmujibi@gmail.com. You can go to my Instagram at MUJIBI'S World. And let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Let's unite as Kenyans. Na tumeambiwa tuache roho mbaya wa Kenya wenye wako Jerumani. Tushikane, tukue pamoja, and together you're strong.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sure.
Thank you BK for coming.
Thank you so much.
Tutaongea mingi zaidi.
Looking forward.
Thank you so much for watching and taking your time and just to listen to us. And until next time, it's your boy at MUJIBI'S. Cheers.
Wahenga walisema aliye juu ngoja chini. Mimi nauliza mtu huyu atashuka lini? Mungu alisema akili amenipa mimi sasa nimeamua sikai chini na panda.